Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show, streaming live on Podbean.com. It is a Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. Only one more day left in this month. It has really flown by, folks. I don't know where the time has gone, but we are at the end of the month, nearly at the end of the month of March, with only one more day left. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. As a matter of fact, the NIT Championship game is set. That's going to take place tomorrow night. And just as I had expected, Xavier and Texas A&M are going to be playing for the NIT Championship. Both of those teams very worthy of being in the NCAA tournament. I thought they both should have made it, but it is so fitting that they end up playing for the championship. That'll be happening tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. How about the NFL? We'll talk about that. The NFL owners are meeting in Florida, and they came up with a big one, and they decided to make changes, major changes to the overtime rule that is going to take place this coming up season. So that only applies to the postseason as far as overtime goes. So no longer will the team that wins the toss they get possession, and if they score first, the game is over. That no longer applies. So we'll talk about that in the NBA. A couple of games that took place last night. Major changes there in the Western Conference. As of right now, folks, the Lakers continue to go down, and we expected that last night with no LeBron James, no Anthony Davis in that lineup. They played a very red hot Dallas Mavericks team, and right now the Lakers they lose that game. We'll talk about that, and they are just, oh my goodness. And I said the other day on one of the shows we did that they should just go ahead and not make the playoffs. I am really sick and tired of seeing all of what ESPN, TNT, you name it, Fox, everyone is just the Lakers. They are not the news. They are not worthy of. And I know the expectations were high. You got to think that these networks, the amount of money that the networks probably lost on the Lakers this year. I'm talking ABC, ESPN, and TNT. And you just got to think they lost a lot of money. They're, a team that were was expected to do a lot, and they just didn't do anything. And the sooner the Lakers get out of this playoff race, the better. And right now, it looks like they're not going to even make the playoffs. Which would and I'm a Laker fan, folks. I'm not speaking from a hater perspective. I'm speaking because I am a big time Laker fan. But man, sometimes you just got to call it like you said. Anyway, we're talking about the current NBA standings, the NBA games that are on schedule tonight, and I'm really talking about the standings quite a bit because you really have to know where teams are going to be, especially in that 1 through 6 spot there, which is not, they don't have anything to do with this stupid play-in tournament thing, but definitely 7 through 10. They have a whole lot to do with this play-in tournament. So we're just keeping an eye on things, and I don't think the Brooklyn Nets are going to move up or down. To be honest with you, I think they're going to just be locked in at that 8 spot with only a few games left. The NCAA Women's Final Four, that is set. That's going to take place later on this weekend. Friday night, the Final Four, and then Sunday, the championship game. We'll talk about that as well. And then briefly mention about the NFL draft, which is going to be April 28th. And next week, we are really going to hit it hard as far as teams' expectations. We'll look at the teams and what some of those teams need, and we'll try to cover all 32 teams. We'll definitely do that, and we'll look at it from a division perspective. All 32 teams, first round. Anyway, we might. We might get into the second round, but definitely we'll cover the first round as far as what we think all 32 teams are going to do. I would do my mock draft. So I got a couple of weeks to put that together, but we'll tell you what the team's needs are. And we'll also talk about some of the big time players that are out there now. We won't do all of that on this show today, but certainly over the next couple of weeks here, days to come, I'll be listening out for that as we get into that. But how about we just start off with the league owners approved to change the overtime rules, and this happened yesterday. That will ensure both teams will now receive a possession in overtime. Now, the vote was 29-3. Don't know who those three owners were that said, nah, let's keep things the way they are. Probably the Chiefs, no, we don't know. We'll find out though. Trust me. So this rule change will only apply to the postseason, where teams who win the coin toss in overtime were actually 10-2 under that old format, which began back in 2010. So now, unfortunately, this comes a little bit too late for the Buffalo Bills, who lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime in the playoffs this year. Man, because they just never really got a chance to get the possession back. And had they got the ball back, a lot of people felt that they would have probably scored and who knows, even won the game, because the momentum was definitely on the Buffalo Bills side. So this is good to see. So the coin toss will just no longer decide, hey, who's going to win that game. Both teams will get possession, and if they're still tied, then you got the sudden death. So then this is going to be good, but postseason only. So don't. This is not the regular season. So I think maybe that's to come. Maybe next year we'll see. But I don't know. I mean, the postseason is interesting and all, but man, what about those overtime games that will decide whether teams get to the postseason? So I got to think that, man, I know the NFL does things in baby steps, but man, there's going to be some key matchups, some division games that might end up in overtime, and then you got the old rule that is going to apply, but only in the postseason. I get the postseason because it was so, it was just so. Yeah, I mean, you could just see how it impacted the Buffalo Bills in that postseason game. But man, I think the regular season, I mean, if you're going to do it, just do it. Do it and be done with it. And that way you don't have to have teams crying wolf, especially if it impacts them and prevents them from getting to the postseason. So I don't know. Anyway, we will see. When I was in New York last week, and this is one of the reasons why I was trying to, meet up with the commissioner and those guys so I can, talk to them about that. Now, I was actually the message I left there at 345 Park Avenue in New York last week was that, okay, I had an idea for what they should do with Baker Mayfield. I didn't think about this overtime rule. I thought they would get it right. I didn't know that they would just say, okay, let's do the postseason and not worry about the regular season. I guess they're not counting on a lot of overtime games happening, but you just never know. You never know. You could have a record year of overtime games next year. And I don't know why they just didn't solve the whole problem. And anyway, that's the National Football League. But anyway, they are making some headways in the meeting. I think they're in Boca Raton, Florida, having a owners meeting there. But 29-3, it will come out who were those three owners that didn't feel the need to change to make the rule. I know one of those owners was definitely not the Buffalo Bills. I wonder if the Dallas Cowboys was one of them, and I wonder the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. But anyway, big rule change there involving the NFL overtime rules, which will take place this upcoming season, and like I said, it involves the postseason. So good stuff there. So the National Basketball Association, man, that is, you know what? We are, let's see, about to, well, the play-in tournament, the NBA play-in tournament will take place April 12th through the 15th. Okay, this is where your 10th seed, your ninth seed, and your eighth seed. I think that seventh seed is in there too, which they will get a chance to play in, to for the right to um, to decide the seventh and the eighth seed, the final two seeds in the NBA playoffs. And so that's going to take place the 12th through the 15th. And then on April 16th, the NBA playoffs will start. So the 16 teams will be set. Now, I hope you guys have had a chance to go and listen to my show I did with Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor, a good friend of mine, 22-year Navy veteran, is going to be launching his own show here at some point in time. And we'll have some details on that, but he's really going to be great at that. Guy knows his sport. He knows his Cleveland sports, but he knows his sports. And we talked about the NBA, the playoff format. We thought that play-in tournament was something that was discovered, and they tried out in the bubble during the COVID-19 the bubble, down in Orlando, Florida, and we thought that was going to be the end of it, but they decided that it was popular amongst who I do not know. I don't know where they thought this was popular. Maybe amongst those teams that got in, but anyway. It was popular with the Lakers because I don't think the Lakers probably would have won the NBA championship if it wasn't for the bubble. But anyway, let me get off that. You can see I'm really pissed at the Lakers, but um, this play-in tournament. So me and Terry Taylor agreed. Look, it's always been the top 8 teams. Teams. You have 82 games to get your crap together. Okay, even if you were um, at the top of your game, like almost like the Chicago Bulls. They were at the top of their game at the beginning of the year. So were the Knicks. You run into some injuries, you run into some problems. You drop down to 10 and you fight your way back to 8. That's what we're used to. But now 10. If you're just not there, you're just not there. You shouldn't. You just this playing tournament just doesn't make any sense, but it's here. It looked like it's here to stay. Okay, so and it's really scary because some team like right now, looking at the NBA standings, you're looking at a team, and I'm over in the Eastern Conference. You're looking at a team like the Atlanta Hawks, who have won 2 in a row. You get some team down there in that ninth and 10th spot that's going to get hot and knock off a team like Cleveland Cavaliers, who finally got back in the win column there, and the Brooklyn Nets. They are finally back in the win column and over 500, by the way. And then the Charlotte Hornets there. Some teams are going to just get hot and get in there, and that's good for them. I don't really have a problem with the Hawks and the Hornets getting into the playoffs. These are just I mean, they are really playing good. The Hawks, especially, they made it all the way to the conference finals last year. And, I don't know what happened this year to where they just, injuries impact everyone. But the Hawks right now are doing pretty good. The Knicks are the team, is the team that's on the outside looking in. They are in the 11th spot right now, even though they have the longest winning streak currently in the Eastern Conference. Winners of 4 in a row. Man, they just might run out of time. I don't know. As a matter of fact, they will not make it, folks. They right now, okay, so they are exactly 4.5 games behind the Hawks. Okay, and they lost to the Hawks last Tuesday night in New York. I was there to see that game. They just won't have enough time. Even with this win streak, if they win the rest of their games, the Hawks could probably lose 1 or 2, and there's not that many games left. Okay, the Knicks will not make it, and it's going to be disappointing because they've been playing some really good ball here, but the Knicks can only blame themselves because they were up there. They were probably like a 4 seed at one time early on in the year. Tom Thibodeau had this team playing great basketball, and for them to have fallen all the way down to the 11th seed, trying their best to get in, but they're just too many games out of the play-in tournament, and they don't have enough games left to get there, and it'll be disappointing. And I don't know if Tom Thibodeau's job will be in jeopardy. Derrick Rose was playing early on in the year, so injuries do impact teams. And every team goes through it, and it's unfortunate, and you have to work around it. And the Lakers, I mean, would the Lakers be where they are now if Anthony Davis had wasn't injured? Yeah, I mean that's something you can. But that team has so many other superstars on there that you tend to not cut them that kind of credit there because they should still be winning games regardless. But anyway, injuries, still, make a difference anyway. So let's look at some of the action that took place last night and see how things shifted in the Eastern Conference. The Chicago Bulls, man, the Bulls, I tell you what, they were sliding and sliding and sliding. They are 4 games out of first place. They probably will just stay right there. They are in the 5th spot of the Eastern Conference, half a game above the Toronto Raptors, who are red hot. And right there on their tails, Toronto has won 3 in a row. Bulls win last night, 107-94. DeMar DeRozan, 32.7 rebounds, 4 assists. And Kristaps Porzingis for the Washington Wizards, 14 points, 10 rebounds. And don't look like the Wizards. I don't know what happened with the Wizards. They certainly won't be in the postseason. But the Bulls, it looks like the Bulls are going to be okay. It looks like they're going to be all right. They were sliding there, but I think the Bulls are going to be okay. If anything, they might drop to the sixth spot there. I don't see them dropping any lower than that, but they're going to be okay. Big win for the Bulls last night. Another game over in the Eastern Conference. This was a huge matchup here and a close one too. The Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 118-116. Giannis, 40 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. And this game was in Philly, by the way. And Joel Embiid, 29 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. And Harden actually showed up in this game and played good. I think the 76ers really played good. They just were outplayed by Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, and that win put the Bucks right there. They are now a half game behind the Miami Heat, just a half game. So I said this weeks ago that I thought the Milwaukee Bucks would get that first place spot. I still think they are going to get it. They are the defending champions. They have played great basketball. And down the stretch here after the All-Star break, they have just really, really turned it up because they were like in the 4th or 5th spot there going into the All-Star break. And man, what a big win, over the Philadelphia 76ers on the road, man. You're talking 40 points there. That is huge there. And James Harden added 32 points there last night. Actually, he had more points than Joel Embiid, but then Embiid had the double-double there last night. Harden, 5 rebounds and 9 assists. So, oh man, the playoffs are really going to be good because right now, if the playoffs just started today, the 76ers would be playing the Bulls, which I think would be, and I think the 76ers would, boy, they wish that the playoffs would start today because they would just take the Bulls out, I think. I think they would beat the Bulls. The Milwaukee Bucks would be playing the Cavaliers, which I don't think would be any problem. The Boston Celtics would be playing the Raptors. That would be one hell of a series there. And then the Miami Heat. Now the Miami Heat would be playing the Brooklyn Nets if the playoffs started today, the 1 and the 8. That is a scary matchup. I don't know. I don't think it's going to change. Now I think Miami might drop down to the 2. We might see, and I'm thinking, folks, we might see a Milwaukee Bucks versus Brooklyn Nets first round. I actually think that's going to happen. Now, last year, that was the semifinals of the Eastern Conference. I was in Milwaukee and I was able to see that. And man, this would be scary for the Milwaukee Bucks because the the Bucks last year defeated Kevin Durant. They just ran out of gas. The Brooklyn ran out of gas and they couldn't get it done. But man, watch out for this. I honestly believe I could be wrong. It could be the Heat and the Nets, but I think it's going to be the Bucks and the Nets in the first round. And oh my goodness, what a matchup that would be. Other action last night in the NBA, like I said, there was only 5 games. The Los Angeles Lakers, they get blown out in Dallas, 128-110. Russell Westbrook was the lead scorer there for the Lakers, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Luka Doncic, 34 points, 12 assists, 12 rebounds, which in basketball is known as a triple-double, folks. Luka getting hot there. The Dallas Mavericks are hot. You want to know how hot they are? They are only 1 full game behind the Golden State Warriors for 3rd place. The Mavericks are in 4th place, and they could get the 3rd spot because the Golden State Warriors are struggling, and rightfully so. They're struggling because, Klay Thompson hasn't been in the lineup. Steph Curry hasn't been in the lineup. Draymond Green hasn't been in the lineup, and they have lost 3 in a row as a result of that. But the Mavericks have won 2 in a row. Big win last night over the Lakers. And like I said, the Lakers now, by virtue of that loss, and because the Lakers have lost 3 in a row, they are in the 11th spot. The Spurs jumped up to the 10th spot. So the Spurs are now in the play-in tournament right now. And I think it's going to stay that way. The Spurs have also won 4 in a row, and they deserve to be in that playoff spot. We're talking about Greg Popovich, a man who, give him an opportunity, he will take advantage of it. And DeJounte Murray, the Spurs always find these great guards. I don't know where they get them from. Patty Mills, I don't know where they find these great guards from, but they get them. They find them and they play well. And just when you think um, they don't have any guards, or they don't have any big men, or they don't have anybody that's going to step up, they always find somebody in Popovich. The Spurs deserve to be there. The Lakers don't. And I don't know. And then one would have to ask and wonder, will the Lakers even bother putting Anthony Davis on the floor or LeBron James on the floor? Will it matter now? Will it matter? Because I mean, I mean, why put that effort out there? These guys have been hurt, and LeBron James is hurt. What will it prove? They are not going to beat Memphis. They're not even going to beat Golden State. The Lakers couldn't even beat Golden State without Curry, Draymond Green, or Klay Thompson. So what? It's not going to prove anything to put those guys out there on the court to do what? Just call it a season, be done with it, and let's enjoy the NBA playoffs with teams that deserve to be in the playoffs, that want to be in the playoffs, that want to win a championship. And that is, of course, in the Western Conference, the red hot Phoenix Suns, winners of 8 in a row, the Memphis Grizzlies, winners of 5 in a row, 2 of the hottest teams in the Western Conference. So Mavericks, big win last night. And then the Brooklyn Nets, they win last night over the Detroit Pistons, 130-123. Cade Cunningham, 34.6 assists, 2 steals. That was the number 1 draft pick last year in the draft. And Kevin Durant, 41 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Kevin Durant is warming up, folks. He's warming up. He's putting up some big numbers. He's warming up. He was out for a great part of the year. Kevin Durant is warming up. He is getting ready for the playoffs, and he knows, and Steve Nash knows, that they're either going to be playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round or the Miami Heat. Either one is going to be a tough out for them, and they know that they will or could be eliminated in the first round. They know that. So it's so important that the Brooklyn Nets finish strong here in the remaining games. Now, I don't have their remaining schedules here in front of me, but I can guarantee you they will need to win all of their games. So 76 games they have played. So they got 6 more games left, and they need to win them all. They need to win them all, and they need to hope that the Cavaliers perhaps may drop, because there's a chance that the Nets could get to the 7th spot. They damn sure don't want to drop any further. And the Hornets are still right there on their tail, 1 game, and they're a game and a half out of the 10th spot with the Atlanta Hawks. So they cannot afford to lose any games. I can guarantee you that, sitting there in that 8th spot. But there's room to move up. I don't think they'll get the 6th spot, which belongs to the Raptors now. I doubt it. Because I just think right now, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you don't want to face the Heat or the Bucks. Well, hell, for that matter, you don't even want to play Celtics. The Celtics are hot, and they're in the 3rd spot. So you're really going to be screwed either way. You're going to play, at the worst, you're going to play the Celtics if you jump up to the 7th spot. So the 2 and the 7, you still play the Bucks. So if they get the 6th spot, they would play the Celtics. Maybe a better chance. I doubt it, because play the Celtics. Kyrie has to go to Boston. They're gonna boo the hell out of him every time. So take your chances with the Heat. I think they probably They want the Bucks because they want that revenge, but I don't know if they match up well. Well, yeah, they do because they got big men. They got some pretty big guys there. Anyway, the playoffs are going to be great. I cannot wait. So that's the action last night. Oh yeah, one more game. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. The one of the most important games last night because the return of Paul George. So if you thought that Paul George was just sitting on the bench waiting for the end of the season or the postseason and just wasting time, I guess sometimes you really do have to heal your injuries because Paul George came out last night and lit it up. 34 points upon his return to the Clippers. The Clippers beat the Jazz at home 121-115. And I'm still asking, and I've been asking this question now for what? Well, I said it on yesterday's show. The Utah Jazz, they have lost 5 in a row. Now, right now, they are tied with the Denver Nuggets. Basically, yeah, they are tied in the 5th spot. Utah owns the tiebreaker, but the Jazz, they have dropped 5 games in a row. Donovan Mitchell, 33 points, 6 assists. I don't know what's going on with Utah. Now, I know they probably didn't see Paul George coming in there and just lighting it up. And not only Paul George, but Reggie Jackson also added to the win. And I think Reggie Jackson dropped in. Let's see how many he put in there. Reggie Jackson had 21 points. Luke Kennard, 17 points. And Hardenstein, 14 points. Wow. What a big win there. And the Clippers are right now, they're safe with the 8th spot. No one's going to really catch them. Unfortunately, though, they are part of the play-in tournament. And that's what sucks, though, like I said, because they have a solid grip on the 8th spot. 5 games ahead, 4.5 games ahead of the Pelicans. Can you believe the Pelicans are in the 9th spot thanks to the Lakers? The Pelicans without Zion, who no one has heard from, well, at least on the court. And just big props to the Pelicans, man, for just making this late run, not giving up. They know there's a play-in tournament. That's why those guys down there in those lower seeds, they keep playing. They just like, hey, we know there's a chance. And thanks to the Lakers and the Blazers, these teams that suck now, somebody's got to move up, and the Spurs and the Pelicans took advantage of it, and rightfully so. So anyway, and CJ McCollum, man, what a trade there at the NBA trade deadline back in early February. The Pelicans now have a chance. I'm not saying that they're going to get in there because they got to get through the play-in tournament, but I think now that Paul George is back with the Clippers, it's probably a safe bet that the Clippers are probably going to get that 8th and final spot. Man, they really put it on the um, Utah Jazz last night. I don't know what's going on with the Jazz, but anyway, so that is the action from last night. And looking at games that will take place today, there are 11 games, I believe, in the NBA, maybe 10 or 11 games. Only a couple of games will just really matter. Um, I think the Charlotte Hornets and the Knicks, that's a good one for Charlotte anyway. Charlotte really needs to continue to win. The game is going to be at Madison Square Garden. The Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. That game will take place tonight. That is going to be a game worth watching. So will the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Raptors. Both of those teams are trying to maintain their leverage in each of their prospective conferences. Minnesota with the 7th spot right there in the Western Conference, and the Raptors with the 6th spot. So they'll play each other. Let's see, Atlanta Hawks, they continue, Atlanta wants to move up. So they're going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. That should be worth watching there. And the Memphis Grizzlies and the San Antonio Spurs. That should be a good one because the Spurs definitely, they're in there. They're in the play-in tournament right now, and they need this win at home in San Antonio tonight. And then, of course, under normal circumstances, this would be a major matchup tonight, and this is a late game on the West Coast. The Phoenix Suns at the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors need to win. The Golden State Warriors need to win. They are, if they lose tonight, they could probably drop down or would tie with the Mavericks. I don't know who owns the tiebreaker there, but they would probably be tied with. It would be 4 in a row if they lose tonight to the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns are just red hot. The Suns don't care. They want to and expect to win every game. They have won 8 in a row, and they won't treat this game like nothing but another game. They know that someone is in their way, and it's the Golden State Warriors. That they don't care that who plays, who's not playing. They will definitely show up and be ready to play. It's man, what an amazing back-to-back seasons for the Phoenix Suns. Now, Chris Paul is back. This team is gelling. Monty Williams knows what he has to do. It's unfinished business. They made the NBA Finals last year. They know that they will probably have to face maybe Milwaukee again, maybe the 76ers, maybe the Miami Heat. Who knows? But they are determined to get back to the Western Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, and right now I don't know who's going to stop them. And they on a collision course with the Memphis Grizzlies, which is setting up for one hell of a NBA Western Conference Finals if it stacks up that way. But man, what a tremendous season for the Phoenix Suns to have tasted defeat and shake it off and come back and put themselves in even a better position than they were last year. And taking no prisoners, just taking names, whipping ass, however you say it. The Phoenix Suns are just, a scary team. And the Golden State Warriors might get it together, but man, they are just slipping and sliding. And you would think that with all that talent that the Golden State Warriors have on that bench, that they would have overcome some of those injuries. And it's just not happening. So I don't know. Steve Kerr, and this is not good going into the playoffs, but yeah, you can't count them out though, because you get Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green on the court, anything's possible. And even the Phoenix Suns know that. So that's why they're not taking any game lightly. If they have a chance to beat Golden State by 50 or 60 points, trust me, they will. They're not gonna, because they know that Golden State would do it to them. And I know that that's the way they're gonna come out and play. So that's the NBA for right now. And let's look at the NC2A Women's Final Four. That's going to be at the Target Center, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Friday night. First game is going to be at 6 p.m. I think the Central Time, by the way. And it's going to be the South Carolina versus Louisville. I think they both were number 1 seeds there. And then the second game is 8:30. I think that's Central Time as well. You got Stanford and UConn. And then the winners of the games on Friday night will play in the championship game on Sunday night, and that's at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I tell you what, in any 4 of these teams can win the championship. The history of these teams and the championships that they have won, oh my goodness. So Stanford wins the championship last year. So look at them. They're right back where they need to be. And they are definitely no stranger to NC2A championship. So they win last year, but before last year, man, Stanford hadn't won since 1992. And look at Tara Vanderveer. She has this team right back and still coaching, still able to find top recruits, still able to coach the way she's always coached and get results out of her teams. And how about South Carolina? Don Staley won the championship in 2017 in Dallas. I was at that game when they won that championship. Big time program, and she has done a hell of a job with that. She beat Mississippi State when they won that championship, and that was incredible. And then UConn. So UConn won back to back to back. Remember, they won 2014, 2015, and 2016, Gino Auriemma. And here he's back in familiar territory. So that's why I say any one of these teams could win the championship. Now Louisville is in a position that they haven't been in. So they are trying to get a championship here, and they lost to Connecticut. As a matter of fact, they lost to Connecticut in 2009, and they lost to Connecticut in 2013. So they certainly, um, are going to be playing with some sense of urgency because they want to face uh, Connecticut. They want Connecticut in the championship game. So let's see how that is going to pan out. But man, it's always exciting. The women's Final Four, the men's Final Four. So you get the women on Friday night, and then on Saturday you get the men's Final Four in New Orleans, and then the men's championship game on Monday night. So a lot of college basketball is coming to an end. And then of course the NIT Championship. You get Texas A&M and Xavier. This is on Thursday night. That championship game that's going to be tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. So good. The last 4 days of college basketball here. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and then Monday. So enjoy it. There will be no more college basketball after next Monday. It's all done. But man, it's been a great run. And I'm still going to applaud the NIT because, and I'm so glad Xavier and Texas A&M accepted a bid because they could have been pissed off and said, no, man, we should have made the NC2A tournament and we got screwed or what have you, but they didn't. And look at this, man, because I guarantee you these two teams would have knocked off someone and were capable of making the Sweet 16. And I'm glad that they took the bid in the NIT. And I knew that these would be the two teams that would play for the championship. So I would definitely be watching this NIT championship game tomorrow night. Wish I could have stayed in New York for the championship game, but it got kind of cold there. I think it was like 37 degrees in New York yesterday, and it's 81 in Houston. I think I made the right choice and came home. That was probably a good decision on my part. But anyway, what else we got going on here? The well, you know what? I do want to say that me and Dustin Pfeiffer, and we're scheduled to do our Final Four show. I always do a Final Four show. I do a tournament bracket show. We did a Sweet 16 show, and we have to do a Final Four show. And we will go in great detail with the Final Four. We have to, okay, because this is just an incredible run here. You got Duke and North Carolina. This is going to be great you know, and you got Kansas and Villanova. Yeah, it just doesn't get any better. Four storied universities that have, they all know something about winning an NC2A championship. This is why, the dust is settled. We got four great teams. All of the upsets, the St. Peters of the world, they're gone. There's no more Cinderellas. She done went home. All that stuff is done. The madness is done. Now it's down to serious business uh, with four serious teams, serious coaches. Man, this is going to be great. Yeah, Jay Wright, Bill Self, Hubert Davis is now making a name for himself, and Coach K. This is just going to be great. So we're going to go all in on the Final Four, and that's going to be Friday. So make sure you listen to that, and that'll be on the iHeartRadio show. So that's what's going to be happening there. And the NFL draft show, I want to talk to you a little bit about that because we're going to do an NFL draft show in Las Vegas at the Westgate Resort Casino Sportsbook. That's going to be April 28th. That is the day of the draft. The first round of the NFL draft is April 28th, and that just happens to be on my birthday. Okay, I will accept gifts, and if you want to send those down to the hotel in Vegas, I would certainly appreciate it. But it's going to be great, though. The draft, and this will be my third NFL draft. And these drafts, look, you still have time to make arrangements. It's in Vegas. You don't always need an excuse to go to Vegas. But if the NFL draft is going to be there, you got one hell of a reason to go to Vegas and be there and be part of this draft. There's plenty of places to stay, hotels all over the place. So get down there, be part of this NFL draft. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. and we are going to me and Mr. Pigs, Jeff Lambert Sr. He's going to be there. Probably have some other people drop in there, and we'll talk about what these teams are going to do. Like I said, now way before the draft takes place, I'm going to do my mock draft and see if we can get it right. I think that's going to be an early Thursday, either morning, or it depends on where you are listening to the show on the East Coast or West Coast. But the show will be early in the day, and then because we're going to be at the draft at Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas, where the oops, did I say Oakland? Where the Las Vegas Raiders play. So that's where the draft is going to take place. But I want to make sure that you are aware of that, and if you are going to be in Las Vegas at the draft and that Friday, come on down to the Westgate Sportsbook, the Westgate Casino, Resort and Casino, and you can see us taping the show because it's going to be a tape show for iHeartRadio. So we record that show because we got to be at the draft that night, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Wear your jerseys for your favorite teams, and all of that stuff it's just going to be fun. It's always fun to see how the commissioner is booed because it's just a formality. You have to boo the commissioner the moment he walks out on the stage and says, with the first pick of the 2022 draft, or however he says the 2022 draft, it's gonna be interesting. Let me get me some water here. I'm running low here. That's better. Okay. And I promise you that is water, okay? So anyway, so that's that. And then let's see, I mentioned here that we are going to get into some of the team needs here as far as the NFL draft here, and we'll do more of that probably. Well, are we going to do that Friday? Because I know we're going to do the show, and that's a separate show, the Final Four show. So we'll probably get into some of the team needs here, what some of the team needs are, and we'll get into that. There's a site that, and I'm going to credit them and mention them because I'm going to use them. It's called Tankathon, and it talks about the 2022 NFL draft order. So if you didn't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars have the first pick. They finished with a record of 3-14 last year, and the Detroit Lions have the second pick. They finished with a record of 3-13-1. Remember, they had that tie with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans because of the trade there involving Deshaun Watson. They have the third pick of the NFL draft with a record of 4-13. The Jets have the fourth pick in the draft. They also have a record of 4-13. The New York Giants have the fifth pick of the draft. They finished with a record of 4-13 last year. And the Carolina Panthers have the sixth pick. They finished with a record of 5-12. And the seventh pick looked like is the seventh. Well, let's look at this here because I don't know if the seventh pick actually looked like it's going to the Giants, if I'm not mistaken here. And eighth, and then it looks like the Denver the okay, wait a minute. So the seventh pick goes to the Giants, the eighth pick goes to Atlanta, the ninth pick goes to Seattle, the 10th pick goes to the Jets, the 11th pick goes to Washington, and the 12th pick goes to Minnesota. So we'll talk more about all of these draft picks here because I want to make sure. I know there were some trades that took place, so I want to make sure we're giving you some good information there, and then we will do the mock draft and talk about Evan Neal. We talked about Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama. A lot of folks have him going as the number one pick there, or some folks have him. Tankathon has him going to Jacksonville because the guy is just huge. What did I say? 6'7", 337 pounds, something like that. So we'll get more into that. We'll get more into the NFL draft here later this week, and all of next week. I can guarantee you, we'll be talking a whole lot more about the NFL draft. So I think we're going to wrap things up here on this show here for today here on the Mean Gene Show, and we'll come back tomorrow, folks, and we'll do it again. And don't forget, there's a lot of NBA action on tonight. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow night, NIT, and I'll break down more about the NIT matchups tomorrow night and who's going to win the game between Xavier and Texas A&M. I'm probably going to favorite Texas A&M but Xavier is really good too. So I really don't know. But anyway, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So that's going to wrap things up for today. Check back in tomorrow here on the MeanGene Show, streaming live on Podbean. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.